Like loving on war, can't have that wine loving that thought. Can't have that I loving on tour. How taps that man having that thought like raw. Now shutting that door, I shut down man having that talk. I locked out now swagging that walk. Got tough now too young with pork like black. I live young with pork. I smoke loud that coming in port. I know now one travelling more. Guys move round still hanging where born. Torn, now bored by the yawn. I move king but the whole team porn. Guy knows him and the rose he's on. Why joking when the whole team mourns like nah, man, I don't see rest. Fuck old man with that pokey chest. Pokey next, man, I know he left. Broski said, man, you don't see best. Like, nah, man, I don't seem right. No sleep night if I go beam light. I dream twice in a year about height. I scheme nice, but I fear that flight. But, not a patient prayer. Almost died, was a patient there. They told me better pay that prayer. When I felt better, man gave me air like, yeah, they see man suffer. Yak in the mouth, but the kid no supper. Backing around with the facts in the town, and I catching them out in the cold and I pop like, bro, let me say with chest. Couple man down, but they failing test. Big man drop with that flavored zest. Handing them out of their favors next like bang. G, yeah, I come with a price. Though when I hand of the female replies. Itch cat to like heaving with lice. I stick to raps where they're being for ice like ice like ice like ice like ice like ice. Right, man. V.
Hello. Yo, what up, Internet? I think we're good to go. My name is braV. I can't produce a podcast, and I'm super excited to have a guest that I never thought I would ever honestly speak to in my entire life. His name is LEET'S, and he goes by Harrison. Or at least I think I read the email correctly, so that's what I'm going to call him. Harrison, you're still muted. Please say hi, man. Everybody in the community is a huge fan, at least the two main guys that are running it. And we have some. I introduced everyone I know to your music, and I've been on a rampage ever since. So I just want to say thanks for doing what you do, brother, man. That's the first
Thanks,
thing.
dude. I'm glad you're being chaotic with it. It's always good to hear.
So what's I guess what's LEET like, man? What's life like? You live in Colorado just like me, and
I just moved out here last July from Tennessee, and definitely enjoy the change of environment for sure. It's definitely been refreshing for especially creatively. I've been able to write some pretty fun stuff out here compared to when I was living in Tennessee. So definitely is true that a change in environment is really good for your creative output.
Dude, I agree. I was gonna ask, did your how do you think that like affected your music or like your ideas?
Well, I mean, honestly, just moving in general just helped my mental health. And I think that a lot of creative outputs also depending on your well-being. So, moving out here was obviously great for my mental health. It's definitely been a work in progress over the past few years since COVID, but definitely doing a lot better than I was a couple years ago. Best I've felt in years for sure. So, that's always good. But yeah, just having more serotonin definitely helps you cognitively, which is very important when you're writing music or doing any sort of art. So, that's what I think is the biggest takeaway from moving.
Yeah, I agree. If I'm not in a good mental state, I kind of accept that whatever I put out is going to reflect, the energy that I'm feeling inside. That being said, I I love some of your deep, dark, vibes. They've really, in all honesty, some of your earlier, I forget which EP it was because you've been putting out so many. But I think it was like your 10K or your Snow Globe mix. It's like, I swear to God, it just put some pieces together in my head. Like
The 10K mixtape. I'm not familiar with the Snow Globe mix, but I know the 10K mixtape.
and then there was the in your 40-ounce collective mix. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, that was my first all original mix.
That one, I can't tell you how many times I listened to it, and it was just, it was so different, right? Like and this is something I want to say. I've interviewed a couple artists at this point, and I've been like a huge, heady music fan for a while, and your sound is evolving in like a really great direction. Like normally I'm super petty about that, and I'm like, maybe your old stuff was better, but like. I don't know. You really, your sounds continue to sound like modern and impress me, and I think they're just so like futuristic that they're not getting dated as quickly. So
and funny enough that you say that. Yeah. So that's actually the entire premise behind Beyond the Bubble.
Really.
Right. Yeah. So like I felt like so Beyond the Bubble, I had not put out an EP in like roughly 8 to 9 months, which is honestly a long time for me. I try to put pieces of work out every like 4 to 5 months if I can. So Beyond the Bubble, that took me a little bit longer to write than usual because I felt like, given my state of mind at the time, I felt like I was sort of in a box. I didn't think I was pushing myself hard enough to try to make something that sounds unique and forward thinking. So I put extra emphasis on making every track unique, more so than I used to when I used to write music. So that's the premise behind Beyond the Bubble. It's an effort on my part to push my work beyond the so-called bubble, the EDM bubble that I think honestly a lot of producers fall into, and it's natural. It's also really tough to stay in your lane creatively, staying true and making totally original stuff consistently. It's always nice to draw inspiration from other styles, but I do think some artists get stuck in a loop, and sometimes it can be hard to break out of. But anyway, sorry, I'm just rambling now. But yeah, that's the premise behind Beyond the Bubble.
I want to ask. Oh, hold up. Apparently, I sound echoey to the crowd, so I'm gonna check that quick. But that's interesting. It's interesting you say that because I don't. I don't. You're clearly trying to break the bubble, and what is it? Sedav94 just posted a question, and he said that was like his favorite album of yours. So I'll just go ahead and read his question while I fucking forgot about mine. I got distracted by the echo. Let's see where it at. Oh, okay, yeah. I guess he just kind of he asked for your overarching theme, and I guess his next question was like, what? Okay. This reminds me of what I was gonna say, because you were talking about originality. So. Yeah, your music. Sedav's question is, what do you, what vision do you have for your music? Well, what sensations or images or imagery are you trying to instill in your listeners?
I actually like that question a lot. So, obviously you're familiar with ASMR.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Like, sensory overload with.
Bro,
with
I thought it was so strange when I first heard it, like, or the concept of it, and then and now I love it.
Yeah, I think like the Twitch commercialization of it's kind of weird and tacky, to be honest. But I mean, some people like it, and that's honestly how it got exposed to a lot of people. So that's good. But me personally never really got into like the Twitch ASMR stuff. I kind of like doing my own ASMR stuff within my music.
Well, that's exactly. No, I can tell that right away. And my first exposure to ASMR was like some fucking girl in a ton of lipstick, like kissing an ear microphone, and I was like, I don't understand why.
Yeah, no, that's stupid.
Well, and then
No, yeah.
But okay, and then it led me down this rabbit hole because I was like, who are these people listening to ASMR? And I was like, oh, wait a minute, it's people who aren't listening to these things like naturally. And now I want to ask you, your songs lead me down this thought rabbit hole of you're just trying to like grab like your environment.
Yeah, I do like to capture or try to make my music feel like it's in a space.
It
It's
feels
not
that
empty.
way.
Yeah.
You've accomplished that goal really well. I like I said, I think it was one of your mixes, EPs or something, and I just felt like everything was music for the next like 48 hours, and it was really interesting because your music consists of like, I mean, you have like not maybe dogs, but no, like train, you have like train samples in there. I don't know exactly what you'll have, but you'll have real world
Yeah. That's my
things
favorite.
that I can relate to, and they vary so much. Sometimes they're really loud and bombastic, or like a car horn, for example.
Like you have no idea how many like real world samples I incorporate in my music. Like for instance, like stuff that I like to do. For example, I can grab a sample of a train going down the tracks, the metal screeching. I could like chop a bit of the audio of the metal screeching as it gets closer to the mic. And then I can, like equalize it and then put some reverb on it and turn down the volume on it down to about like, 30% of the original volume, and then use that as like background textures, and it adds some space to your music. But you wouldn't be able to tell that it's a train just by hearing it in the music in context.
It's like, yeah, you're extracting elements of it that make it that remind you of physical spaces, and then kind of taking away the main, the main grit, the main the main giveaway.
Exactly.
And yeah, that's always I think that was a revolutionary idea, man. Like maybe revolutionary. I want to say, because I want to give you that credit, because I'm a huge fan. But the technology that's, I guess, like come within the last 20 years that's allowed people to capture like more high def sounds and put that in their music, I think is also what's probably made your music like, really unique.
For sure. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing today 10 years ago, to be honest. Like,
who are you, like,
just honestly, DAWs in general have just accelerated so much in the past 10 years.
Do you have like old school inspirations? I asked this to like all of my guests because we're all in this EDM bubble, and
Yeah.
I personally love like classic rock, and you can throw me in a metal show and I'll be in a mosh pit. Like, trust me.
Yeah. I actually, my inspiration honestly comes from the metal I used to listen to back in the day. I was really into Deftones growing up, and they're still my favorite band ever. I think Chino is one of the greatest songwriters of all time. I definitely draw a ton of inspiration from the way that he operates his own sort of music theory within his music. Like he definitely bends the traditional rules of music theory, and it's
Oh, sorry, I lost the last 5 seconds of audio.
Oh, okay. I don't even remember.
You were just he was bending a lot of rules of music.
Oh yeah, I draw inspiration from Deftones and other creative bands that had their like own unique sound.
Interesting. Well, I guess that makes me want to ask you, and I'm keeping an eye on the time here, so I won't get too deep into the questions. But I think of your music as original, and I think that's really funny because oftentimes I'm like, no music is original. And so that's why I think your music is really impressive to me, because I'm usually of the belief that like I'm always ripping somebody off. I'm always copying somebody else's idea. And in your sense, I don't think you did that, but you did. It seems like you kind of did that, but like with nature and like your surroundings, and it's interesting and impressive.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of that was inspired by Charles I. Like, he was the first person I listened to consistently that really just like always tried to incorporate like nature sounds in the background of his music, and I thought it was genius. So I started experimenting with it myself, not necessarily in the same ways that he did. I do it in different ways. Instead of like having wind in the background, I like have cars driving down the street, you know? Just different sorts of textures.
Dude, I wanna ask you more about your personal life, but I do want to drill through these questions, you know, because I got a
For sure.
community of people here dying to know how you make your music. And I just want to know like what part of the East Coast you're from.
I'm from Tennessee.
Oh, sorry, you said Tennessee, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, from Tennessee.
Tennessee, and you just. How old are you?
I am 26.
Okay, cool. It's I'm 24, so we both kind of probably were listening to Charles around the same time.
Yeah, I actually started listening to him back in like 2017.
I think I was one of the first 100 listeners or 1,000 listeners on the Through the Mix tape.
Wow.
Yeah, like rest in fucking peace and power. That was
Yeah, dude. His memorial show is this weekend. I'm definitely going to be in attendance for that.
No, where is that, dude?
It's in Denver at Mission Ballroom.
Fuck. Wait, when? What day?
It's Saturday.
Is it a like a paid event, like or?
Yeah. They're selling tickets.
Are they sold
I
out?
have no idea if it's sold out or not. Yeah, I don't know.
Dude, fuck. I might see you there. Anyways, I don't want to let down my guys here. So third question from Sedavi, who's honestly probably a bigger fan than me. I didn't know that was possible. What's your superpower? We all have that thing that is both a blessing and a curse. What is yours, my guy?
Huh. Okay. I think my ability to work fast would be my superpower. That also is a double-edged sword, because I'm really good at completing an idea in like a 2-hour time span. But the problem with me working fast is the next day when I re-listen to it and I want to add more stuff, I'm already kind of burnt out on it because I basically finished it in 2 hours. So, you know, my brain doesn't want me to work on it anymore, but there's definitely stuff. There's stuff that can be fixed, but I'm just not compelled to fix it. But, you know, that's just like a personal struggle. But that's the only thing that comes to mind as in regards to music production that I think is a double-edged sword.
I can not relate, but I can understand on how that could be annoying. I work pretty slowly if you've looked at my YouTube channel.
I haven't.
Well, yeah, no worries. It's like it's anywhere from like 2-hour to like 4-hour videos of me just like being like, what the fuck am I doing? But
That's always fun too.
It's
Honestly,
fun.
trial and error is a great way to produce.
I was really timid when I first started producing like 5 years ago, and I've seen a lot of great producers make a lot of bigger, possibly better, or not possibly bigger, bigger strides in the music industry, and it's really it's inspiring, humbling, and kind of a little bit of a reality check, to know that there's somebody out there like me listening to Charles I who like went out and fucking made baller music. And how has COVID affected that your path as a career? Like, where was your music career going, and like how have you adapted to it?
Well, it's actually pretty shitty story. So I had spent a few months building my first tour with Aztec in late 2019, and we had announced it in January of 2020, and it was supposed to run February through May. We got a couple of shows down on that tour before COVID started canceling everything, but it honestly kind of fucked my finances up hardcore because I quit my job to go on tour before COVID-19 was a thing. And in Tennessee, that makes me ineligible to get unemployment. So it was pretty rough. Basically, all the money I had saved up from music and stuff, it was all gone within a few months because there was nowhere hiring and I wasn't getting unemployment, and I was having no luck getting unemployment because there's millions of other people trying to do it too. So yeah, that was a huge speed bump. 2020 was pretty rough, and that's when I took like an 8-month break from putting out music after I dropped my EP Hello in summer of 2020. But then I put out Beyond the Bubble and started to feel confident about where everything was heading again. I worked really hard, worked 50 hours a week at a job, and still working my ass off, but finding a good balance between music and work was super important. But I'm doing a lot better than I was initially in 2020. COVID certainly had an effect on the music for sure. I feel like the extra time at home to like really focus because there was nothing else going on, was able to learn some new stuff with my production. But then I kind of took a hiatus because months went by of nothing happening, and I was starting to get sick of just being in my studio every day. But yeah.
I know what that's like. Going stir crazy is not. It's you got to strike a balance with everything when it comes to music.
For sure.
I did want to just, like I said, run down this list. Oh, Gabe Moses says, "LEET'S, are you from Tennessee? Because you're the only 10 I see." God damn it.
He. I've never heard that joke in my life.
Let's see, something a bit more music related. Oh, this one's popular. Okay, how long after you started producing did it take you to feel like you found your sound? This one's actually really important to me. I didn't ask it because I started my musical journey or production journey must have been 2017. And I've gone in a lot of different directions with it, but I've not gone in the direction of like putting out albums and like, trying to establish a tour.
Right.
And so, I was, what was, when did you find like you started finding your sound and like you wanted to put out music?
Yeah, so I'll just start from the top. I started making music in 2016. I didn't put out my first song until like 11 months of producing, and I finally had made something that I thought was palatable and could help like establish something. So I started uploading some tunes here and there. Back then in 2016, 2017, I was listening to trap music. Like that's all I was listening to. I'm talking about like stuff like Dr. Dirg.
Still listening. Old school trap. I love it.
Yeah, it's nice, definitely nice to listen to and revisit now and then. But like people like Untitled, Ablation, the Lost Dogs crew, like back before Lost Dogs was a thing in like 2017.
Well,
yeah.
I didn't even know Ablation was around back then. I thought.
Yeah, dude, Ablation was actually making like pretty minimal trap. It sounded super unique. But then he started evolving into the more aggressive growl step I
call him.
it's pretty sick.
I like to call him Grease because I don't understand because it makes me feel like if it was a thing I wouldn't be able to hold on to it.
Oh yeah, sorry, getting off track. But yeah, I started putting out songs in 2017. Still didn't feel like I'd found my sound really in 2017. I was kind of just, making whatever, because I was listening to a bunch of different stuff at the time, and I typically draw inspiration from what I'm super into musically at the time. And I was just kind of all over the place. So I didn't really think I found my sound until I released my EP Blue. I believe that one was 2018. I can't remember if it's 2018 or 2019. I'm leaning towards 2018. I'll look this up actually. 2019. Okay, yeah. I dropped Blue in February of 2019. At the time, that was my favorite fucking piece of work I've ever written. I was so hype on it. And that's when I feel like, damn, I really think I've got something now. Like, I have this workflow that I've established for myself that works. And, I follow the same steps now. And, I'm able to, write music that I enjoy now, efficiently. Like, I can crank out a whole idea, in one studio session. But of course, that took years of practice and patience and trial and error.
Yeah, that's a great answer. It's a great answer to it's a great segue, dude. The next question that I'm reading, it seems like how important is swing, imperfection, and minimalism in your beat making? Because you're talking about like making beats and like cranking out a tune. And dude, to the average listener, it sounds like you crank this shit out in probably 10 hours. It sounds like very musically complex, and I think I understand that it probably can be a little bit of an illusion. But how do you deal with swing in your songs? Because I think that is really what drove me, and like people like Ableation, and that's it's a style, and you are, in my opinion,
for sure,
like a master of it in some way.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of audio illusions. Definitely fun tricking listeners in my music.
I'm glad that wasn't just the acid.
No, it's not. But I do like making music for people who are indulging, for sure. I think that's a great outlet. But anyway, yeah, I love making audio illusions. I love leading the listeners thinking that a song's gonna go one way, but then all of a sudden it goes a different way. It's like I like making the music a complete auditory experience overall, as opposed to just writing club bangers. But yes, the importance of minimalism. So how I write music, or how I approach my music at least, I try to make my songs as interesting as possible without using a melody. I don't know if you've noticed, but the majority of my music, there's not really an overriding melody. It's mostly ear candy and a sick, groove with a solid bass line. I never really invest in melodies because I think that it keeps my ideas fresh that way. Typical music writing, they teach you that melody is clearly the most important part of a song. It's the backbone of the song, which personally I think the drums are the backbone of the song. But I spend way more emphasis on my drums and the transitions and transient effects. And environment. I like to, like I said earlier, I like to make my music sound like it's in a sonic space. Like, I like to pan stuff left and right throughout my music. Make it as, as much of an experience as possible, especially for headphone listeners.
That was on my question list. You already answered it. I was like, is your music built for headphones, kind of like ASMR?
Oh, absolutely.
How does that affect your live performance?
Well, I have a good mix of music that I make that is better for like silent discos and just headphone listening. More so stuff that I wouldn't particularly drop at a show. And then I have my songs that are just straight up 140 BPM bangers that I don't really emphasize on audio illusions in. Like for instance, the song "Dismantle." Like that's a song I'm gonna be rinsing in my sets for years to come. But the rest of the EP or the album, Memory Lane, less club banger and more auditory experience.
Right. Okay. You really do define the difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I've seen that in your music, dude. Can I speed run the 3 questions for you because I know you're.
Yeah, I actually have some extra time, so we can run all these questions.
Okay, cool. Well, I prioritized the two that were up here from the community. Last one being, this one is pretty personal, I guess. Personal to a friend. Have you ever had any live performances where you felt like you were struggling and you didn't know what to do in the situation, or you didn't know what to do, and what did you do in that situation? Like how did LEET prevail?
I would say over the course of the years, I've had pretty good luck with my shows. There is, however, one instance that I can think of where I thought everything was about to hit the fan and my laptop pulled up at the last minute. So I played at Imagine Festival in 2018. I was slated for the Silent Disco. Bass Nectar was headlining that night, and then he closed the festival that night basically, and then everybody would funnel into camping, and then there'd be a silent disco, and there'd be like thousands of kids there. Well, I was slated to play against a secret guest. Oh yeah, sorry. Back note. The silent disco has 2 channels, so there's 2.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
Did it like change color like depending on?
Yeah. So I was slated to play against a special guest. The special guest was supposed to be Boogie T back-to-back Squanto.
Yeah,
so,
that's sick.
Basically, and this was in 2018 too. So basically, I stood absolutely no chance of getting any listeners if they pulled up and played their set. But somehow they did not show up. And the stage manager also happened to be my booking agent at the time. So he called the shots on the stage. So, there was a ton of people like trying to like get on the other cdjs, and my manager wasn't letting them because he was running the stage.
Right.
But anyways, so now I have all that pressure on me. I didn't know at the time that my manager was not letting anybody else hop on stage and play. I thought that nobody else was wanting to play. But anyways, there's 2,000 kids in front of me. Literally, like they ran out of headphones because everybody is over here for the secret guest, and everybody's expecting Boogie T back-to-back Squanto. Instead, they're about to get me, a nervous wreck, because I have 2,000 people in front of me when I was expecting to play to like my friends, like the people I was there with.
Right.
So yeah, I have 2,000 people in front of me, and I'm getting my laptop set up. So at the time, I wasn't using cdjs. I brought around a little Pioneer mixer, and I would bring my laptop, and I would use Serato. So thankfully, I use fucking cdjs now, because that was a whole pain in the ass to do logistically, but that's a different story. But yeah, my laptop would not start. It was just like straight up blanking on me. Like it had power, but the power button was not turning the laptop on. And I was starting to freak out on stage.
Yeah, you're like trying to strip wires.
Yeah, because we're like 5 minutes over the set time, or like a couple minutes over the set time supposed to be starting, and there's 2,000 kids in front of me who just saw Bass Nectar, so everybody's wired and ready for some music, and I'm up there like crouching behind the cdjs, freaking the fuck out because my laptop's not turning on. Thankfully, fucking by the grace of God, fucking the laptop turns on after a couple of minutes of me just plugging it into a charger. But it had a full battery, so I'm not sure how that fixed it. But it came on finally, and I was able to get everything set up, and we were good to go.
What a story, man! That's a crazy break. That's like that's awesome.
And then I dropped my laptop after the set on stage. But one of the greatest sets of my life for sure. But yeah, highly recommend switching to cdjs if you're trying to, like tour the country and play shows. I used to lug around a Pioneer SB3 in a backpack with my laptop. Now, imagine flying everywhere with a backpack that weighs like 40 pounds and is full basically to the point of it ripping open. Yeah, you can't put it under your seat either. But on some flights, the overhead bins will be full and they'll make you put it under your seat because it's a backpack. So legit, I would have to like put it under my feet and just like have my feet on my equipment. And at that point, I was like, dude, I just need to learn cdjs and stop being scared. And best decision I've ever made. I absolutely love cdjs.
I don't have I have a very love-hate relationship with cdjs, and I have a lot to say about Pioneer, so we're not going to open that can of worms. I'm very happy that you like them, but I did start on Serato. I don't like Serato. I had an SB3. I actually own a Pioneer WeGo 4. It's like a really mini board, and I really want.
I've seen those.
I want like a Denon Go, which is like $1,000, but it's like one of the smallest. Like it's basically a compact CDJ. So I like small boards because I think they're like really limiting and kind of fun and minimalist. But I get what you mean, dude. Like I don't like personally. I hate DJing and looking at the screen or having a screen like a laptop screen while I'm DJing. I really like having the screens beneath me so I can see the crowd like much better.
Yeah, definitely. But me personally, I don't even really look at the crowd when I DJ. I think that gives me anxiety. So I always just like stare at the CDJs, and if I look out into the crowd, I'm usually just looking over the crowd. I'm not like looking at anybody in particular.
Gotcha. Yeah, a lot of my energy is focused on the CDJs because a pet peeve of mine is seeing DJs with their hands in the air. I actually hate that, so I do try and focus on the CDJs. But I like to look at the crowd because sometimes I started off as a bar DJ, and I really did not like that gig for what it was, and I worked it for 2 years, and it taught me a lot, but it did fucking teach me how to read a room, and I think that's a really important skill.
Actually, yeah, that's totally true. I started DJing at frat parties, and I was DJing at frat parties in like Bumfuck, Egypt, Tennessee, or like all they would dance to is top 40.
Yeah, no, they might as well. Like, why am I here?
Yeah, like anytime I would put on, let's see, the year was 2014 when I was doing this. I would put on like a trap remix of a top 40 song, and the whole fucking room would clear. And like, I put on I think I put on like a Datsik track or something, because at the time Datsik was fucking like on top of the touring circuit as far as dubstep goes. I remember throwing on like some trappy Datsik trap, and this dude, drunk guy, he comes up there and tries to fight me.
You and your terrible music taste. You'll never amount to anything.
Yeah. This dude was pissed that he was mad because I changed the song from like some R. Kelly song to Datsik.
Dude,
like it mixed really well together, honestly. But this guy got pissed because the girl didn't like it and stopped grinding on him or something. And
That's
I guess
how it goes.
Like just the dumbest shit ever, really. I'm glad I'm not DJing that bullshit anymore.
Me too, man. I've outgrown it. Can't go back to it.
Yeah, definitely not. I wasn't even getting paid for it. I was just doing it just because they needed a fucking DJ. Because the old DJ at this fraternity, like all he did was play iTunes. He would just click on iTunes. And I was like, dude, I have a board and I can like actually mix and like use a microphone and like get this party like popping. Unfortunately, they just wanted to hear the same 20 songs.
I feel like the bar for DJing has it lowered? Has it gone up? Like at bars, I remember getting paid for 2 years just to basically be a Spotify playlist. and I was like, I'm not, like I really wasn't doing much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, bars and strip clubs, they have insane budgets for their DJs for what they're actually getting. Like these dudes are most of the time just up there playing iTunes playlists, like just like saying shit on the mic every now and then clicking through an iTunes playlist, the same one every night. Definitely, I agree with that for sure. In some industries, like I said, like bar DJing and you know strip club DJing. Wedding DJs also can get paid a pretty fair amount for, but I think it's harder as a wedding DJ to get away with playing iTunes because it's not like a dark environment. You actually have to like do something, and you usually have to have your own equipment too. So I think being a wedding DJ is its own thing. Like that's its own lane for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't dabbled, but I know that you get paid a lot, but it's a different job, like altogether.
Yeah, definitely. I've personally never DJ'd a wedding. I don't think I would be able to be.
I would be a
DJ.
terrible wedding DJ. I've been meaning that right now.
I would
Like,
I would literally just like be on Billboard looking at like top 40 and just like fucking ripping like top 40 songs, and just playing a playlist.
Yeah, I know. I would have
So out of touch with
have
popular music. It's
I'd have
insane.
Spotify on. Yeah, talk about being out of touch with popular music. That bar gig was the only thing keeping me in touch with pop music, and holy shit, I stopped about a year or two when COVID hit, and yeah, dude, I don't know what's hot quote unquote hot anymore. Like I feel like out of touch with reality, and like I feel 10 years older. It's crazy.
Yeah. I know one thing's for sure since COVID, EDM is more popular in bars now.
Yeah, it is. I wasn't sure if that was a Colorado thing or if that was a
No,
fucking...
it's like that everywhere now.
Okay.
Even like rednecks are getting into house music now.
Yeah, yeah, no, I had a friend like that. I had a fucking friend who would, I'd show him a banger, and then like 2 months later, he'd show it back to me, like pretending that he found it, and I'm like, and then I was like, this interval is getting smaller. Like I think these songs are becoming more popular. Um, Anyways, I do not want to end this podcast. Not that I'm going to, but I don't want to forget to ask this question. Where did the name Leet come from?
Oh, yeah, LEET'S speak.
Is it a language? Is it a computer language?
Yeah, it's when you turn letters into numbers and communicate with numbers. It was popular in the early 2000s on AOL Instant Messenger as a way for kids to talk to their friends without their parents snooping on their conversations. That was the origins of it, but I was exposed to it through playing Halo. People said LEET stands for elite. 1337 translates to elite. So I thought that was sick as fuck as a little, 7-year-old playing Halo on PC. So I kind of adopted that throughout my lifetime. I always thought that was a cool name. And it's super sick being able to like incorporate something that I adopted as a child into like my brand and like my life's work. So super cool. But yeah, that's where LEET comes from. It's from video games essentially.
There's a clip in a mix or a song. I think it's a mix where you clip like a bunch of news broadcasts talking about like the language. I don't know.
Yeah, fuck. I remember that. I can't remember what mix that's from.
I can't remember either. But
is it the 40-ounce mix?
It could be. Yeah, no, I can't tell you off the top of my head. But that was my first hint. And then I wasn't really sure if it had anything to do with how you made your music or if it was just like a cool coincidence. So I really just wanted to ask, like, yeah, no, that's awesome. I just wanted to know the backstory behind that.
Yeah, for sure. Damn, now you got me looking for this clip. Because I'm curious myself. I definitely remember throwing that in a mix, but I can't remember which mix that was. I wonder if it's the Eclectic Imprint. No, it's not. Damn, man. I don't know. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I think try 40 ounce. Nice suppression.
Yeah, I don't. It's not in that one. That's crazy. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I wonder if it's actually a song instead.
I wonder. I'm not sure.
Oh well.
Uh,
I'll figure it out later.
can you can you tell me the story is about Festival Banger? I know you might have to leave soon.
Oh, the big festival banger. Yeah.
Yeah.
So me and Bad Habit, we were wanting to write another collab, and he sent me the idea, and I worked on it, and that was the outcome. And I was like, dude, this sounds like a big festival banger, because at the time, that sound was hot. So I was like, yeah, this is a big festival banger. So I just named it Big Festival Banger. I figured naming it that would actually make it more marketable for what it is. And it ended up working out pretty well. So it's actually like my third most listened to song.
That's why I wanted to ask you about it. It's addicting to listen to, but it has like, I guess it's not as complex as some of your other songs that I love. But that's not
Yeah, so
that's not
I
a
mean,
diss if you know what I mean. Like it's just really
for sure.
catchy
I
and
don't know
it's
if you can tell, but like the whole like first half of that is practically Bad Habit. I mean, you can tell
oh
it's
yeah.
his like beat structure for sure. Because I very rarely do build-ups, like drum build-ups, and have drum fills every other 4 bars like he does. But I mean, I pretty much took over that last minute of audio. I mean, that's as lead as it gets for 2019 for sure.
Cool. Dude,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I've had a great time. I'm honestly just like it's been 45 minutes. Really just not sure what you're doing with your time, but we got through all the questions. I'm just gonna go through Discord one more time to
Nice.
see if anybody has posted anything. If you have time for like one more question, man,
Yeah, for sure.
cool. Because like I said, I would normally want this to be, like a conversation where there wouldn't be too much of a time structure, but if we can just drill through these, and I totally
Yeah, yeah, I'm done.
respect your time, man. Let's see. I think you. How long is the session? Just to grind out one track in 2 days. So, but I guess I can. I think I'm going to summarize this question as: what's the longest you've spent on a track?
Oh, okay. The longest I've spent on a track was my first track ever that I ever wrote, and it was hot trash, but I spent a long time on it because it was my first project, and I was really determined to not let my first project, my first time making a song on FL Studio, to be a waste. So I ended up spending like 2 months on that song, like put collectively like 50 hours or 50 or so hours into it, and it ended up just not being good, but it was great practice. I learned a lot in that project. As far as a release song, the longest that I've spent on it, that one's tough because most of my music I finish in the same amount of time. Most of my music I put grand total of like 2 to 6 hours of work into before I'm burnt out on it and I want to stop working on it. And I also think personally that that's important to not burn yourself out. Don't force yourself to finish stuff that you're not inspired by. Instead, make something new. You know, yeah. Don't get caught up trying to finish old ideas if they're not clicking, because ultimately that's just going to frustrate you and make you think negatively about your creative output. And that's not what you should do. You should definitely experiment with new stuff whenever you can. But yeah, don't get caught up in old projects if they're not clicking. That's a little bit of advice for me. Sorry, what were we talking about again? I'm really bad at derailing conversations.
I am too, which is why I couldn't tell you honestly. But somebody in the recording will leave it in the comments.
Oh wait, yeah, we're talking about how long it took for my music. Okay, so the longest I've spent on a release song.
Yeah, I find this question interesting because I've heard people say they've spent years on a track, and then like it just
Yeah.
it impresses me when there's someone like you who can do it so quickly.
Okay, so the longest I've spent on a track, it's probably the song Beyond the Bubble. The reason that one took me so long, actually, is because initially I was trying to work with a rapper on it. Um, he kept beating around the bush and didn't really pull through in the end. And I had set a personal deadline for when I wanted my album to be done so I could put it through distribution and honor the date that I set forth on social media for it. So I ended up rapping over it myself. Um, and that was an entirely new process for me. I had never like rapped over my own music before. I've definitely like rapped for fun in high school, like freestyling with my friends and whatnot, but I've never actually like taken it seriously. But that was the first song I ever incorporated my own vocals into. But because of that, you know, naturally I wanted to spend more time on that song, you know, getting the vocals right. And I also had to record my vocals with my iPhone. So that's another reason it took a little bit longer. Trying to get some clarity while also doing some, you know, processing on the vocals, some effects and whatnot, and changing the pitch. Yeah, definitely challenging song for sure, but Beyond the Bubbles, definitely one of my favorite projects.
I it's that came out this year, right? Or within the year?
Beyond the Bubble came out on April 6th, 2021.
Okay, so within almost a year ago. Okay, I saw
Yeah.
that. Okay, yeah. What is it? I think I'm guilty of not listening to your album or your EPs in full. I mainly listen to your mixes, so thank you for having so many of them.
Yeah, dude. I would highly recommend listening to my latest one, Memory Lane. Like, you know, all the way through. I
Yeah,
actually wrote that one with intent to make it a cohesive piece.
yeah.
So, you know, I try to make it to where you can't tell when a song is starting or ending. It just kind of flows into it.
The, um, wow, I don't know what question I want to ask because I just have so many. I'll start. Just, do you have a? Oh wait, yeah. Are you an FL producer?
Yeah,
Fucking, you just blew my mind. No way.
yeah, for sure.
Fuck.
I don't like Ableton.
Fucking, god damn it. Hold on,
Yeah,
I'm calibrating.
you're good.
Why don't you like Ableton?
Um,
I don't hate FL. I just would have never expected that, dude.
I don't like Ableton just because I just enjoy the FL Studio user interface so much more. And you know, there's certain elements of FL Studio that Ableton doesn't have that I really like. Like for instance, the piano roll. The FL stock reverb is fucking primo. Like I've never had to use a reverb plugin in my life. I've always used the stock FL reverb because it's so good. Um, but I will say Ableton does have a leg up on FL in regards to automation. That shit looks so easy on Ableton, and on FL it is a huge pain in the ass.
I I'm a slow learner. I'm admittedly so, and I've just never been able to really grasp my hand or grasp FL. And I somehow I was able to get Ableton, so I thought maybe it was easier. I don't fucking know. I'm blown. My mind's a bit broken that you use FL. I was totally expecting you to use like Bitwig, Logic, or Ableton. But FL's
Nah,
not on
nah,
that list, man. That was crazy.
nah. I love FL Studio. I've been using it since I started. I've tried downloading Ableton and just genuinely didn't enjoy it. So I can't tell you how many of my friends have tried to talk me into downloading Ableton and using it.
I'm not.
Like Midlam especially, dude. Midlam wants me to use Ableton so bad.
Oh, please tell me how that affects your collabs because you've done some insane collabs.
Yeah, pretty much every collab I've ever done has always been with stems.
So, and are people generally mad at you?
No, I mean typically if somebody wants to work with me, then it's not a big deal.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess I'm just being a little like snarky and petty.
I mean, and I
Yeah.
honestly like most like experienced producers they actually prefer stems. So that I've always just bounced stems naturally. I've never tried to send a project, but that's definitely a thing among the old heads. They definitely prefer stems as opposed to sending project files, because when you send project files, you also have to include all the plugins and like VSTs, and not every producer has those.
Right. Yeah. No, I ride a line between that. I like stems because you can just compile the song, and like
Yeah,
it's
it also makes it a lot easier to chop up the stem and like do some variations.
yeah. But I've also, I mean, this is just food for conversation. I've also had it where like someone gave me a project file and like various things were missing, and I was like, "Fuck it, let's work with this," and uh,
Huh.
and then that ended up.
Never have done that before.
It's pretty fun. I like to break my shit. I think Typo gave me that advice like a few months ago, and I've been doing it, and that's been like it's been one way I've been learning more rapidly recently. I do want to let you go just because I'm gonna let you go, Harrison. There's too much pressure on whether or not you got to leave, and I don't want to take too much of your day, but.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to wrap it up anyway.
The one thing I guess there are two things to wrap up. I guess the housekeeping. One is I ask this usually to every producer. If I was gonna produce, if I was gonna start producing tomorrow, would you have any advice for me?
If you're gonna start producing tomorrow,
If I was like a brand new producer, what would you say to a
yeah,
brand new producer?
my advice would be to try to make a 60-second song every day until you're comfortable writing music.
Okay, cool. I haven't heard that
That's
one
what
before.
that's what I did my first year. I actually learned that from some guy on YouTube. It was some very niche FL Studio tutorial, and he was just like giving unsolicited advice about building a brand as a DJ and like making music and whatnot. And that's something I picked up. He said the best way to practice would be to just try to make little clips, like 30 to 60-second little clips, just short songs, until you like learn the ins and outs of FL Studio and can start making longer, more cohesive pieces. And I thought that was a great method of practicing, was by just making clips. Another great way that I practiced was by participating in ciphers. Team Supreme, they used to do ciphers where they would like give out samples, and you would have to create a 60-second beat using the samples, and that was another amazing way for me to get some practice in. And I did that a lot in 2017, 2018. I kept doing it even after I was comfortable writing music, just because ciphers are just a great tool for practice. It lets you create something fun, like a nice little 60-second song, and you can show it, and it's cool.
Well, dude, thank you for that advice. We do beat ciphers on the Discord. We just haven't done them as regularly. We'd love to have you there if you like want to stick around. I don't know how often you're on Discord, and you can.
Hardly.
Yeah, no,
I work a lot.
it's a lot. Yeah, it's some people. It's perfect for me. It's not the best for other people, but yeah, fuck, what am I- oh, yeah, that, I guess that leads us to it, man. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for this
for
interview.
sure.
I really appreciate it. Is there, just like we did with the beginning of the show, is there any song you want me to play you out with? This one doesn't have
Yeah.
to be an ID or whip, but it can be,
We can play a song that I'm actually dropping tomorrow, off my EP with Mythm.
Right, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, you have it in your message, I think.
Yeah, I do. Well, I played that in. Did you want me to play a different song?
Oh, you already played that?
Oh yeah, did you? Yeah. So that was the song I played like to start the stream.
Okay.
Off with.
I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
no idea.
Yeah. So
Well,
I just meant if there's like if there's a like anything off your new EP or another whip, then like let me know. Otherwise, I'll just play like my favorite song.
you know what? Pick your favorite song.
All right, this will be fun then.
Cool.
All right, man. Hey, dude, it's been a pleasure, like meeting you over the internet. Maybe we'll cross paths in person, but
For
I
sure, dude.
did
Yeah.
not know you were so
If you
close.
if you come to the Charles Memorial this weekend, I guess hit me up.
Yeah, cool. I will. I'll let you know if that happens. And yeah, once again, awesome. Sorry, once again, I'm a big fan. You're an awesome producer. You're rocking the scene, like, and I think you've got big shoes to fill, and you're fucking filling them really well, dude.
Nice. Love to hear it. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, anytime. So yeah, everybody, I Can't Produce a Podcast. This was episode number 16, and I'm so happy that I just got to meet LEET'S. And I'm gonna play you out with "Suffering Buffering" off of the Beyond the Public EP.
Hell yeah.
All right.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Everybody take care.
Yo,
I appreciate everybody's hospitality.
Peace out. Pleasure to have you. Come back anytime, man.
Absolutely.
Later.
Your service has been temporarily disconnected.
And that was LEET. Thanks for listening to the podcast.